Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone across the globe joining us today. This is Bridget from Acquia. Today's webinar is Closing the CX Gap, Moving Towards Response Agility with Anton Morrison and John Mozayani from Appnovation and David Apanovich from Acquia. Just a couple housekeeping items before we get started. If you have any audio issues, please send them in the Q&A tab and I will assist you. If you have any questions for the presenters, please submit them in the Q&A tab as well, and they will answer them at the end of the presentation. Slides and the recording of this webinar will be posted to acquia.com and also sent to you via email within the next few days. And without further ado, I will pass it over to Anton.
Thank you, Bridget, and likewise, good morning and afternoon to everyone. And thank you for taking the time to join our webinar. My name is Anton Morrison. I'm the Vice President of User Experience Design at Appnovation. And I'm here with my colleague, John.
Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon. Yes, I'm John Mozayani. I'm the Head of Technology at Appnovation for the Americas region. One of the new kids on the block at Appnovation, but I don't know if you could say that anymore after 5 months. Great to be a part of this. Thank you for Acquia for hosting us.
You're welcome. This is David Apanovich. I'm in product marketing here at Acquia, and I have the distinct pleasure of introducing this esteemed panel. It's not every day that I get to work with and introduce a great partner like Appnovation in a context like this. This webinar is an outcome of a presentation they did a few months ago at the Acquia Engage annual customer conference. So it really rated as among one of the highest sessions there. We wanted to reproduce it here for a broader audience. But first, a bit about Acquia, and then I'll turn it over to the guys from Appnovation. Acquia is the open source digital experience company. We provide the world's most ambitious brands with the technology platform that allows them to embrace innovation and create great customer moments that matter, which is really central to today's webinar. Our roots come from Drupal, a content management platform, but we're far more than that. If you go to the next slide. Acquia products are really split into two categories from a technology standpoint, or clouds as represented here. On the left, our Drupal cloud helps customers build, design, and run their sites and their digital applications for customer experience. We've expanded this cloud to include also something called Cohesion, which was acquired at the end of 2019. It's a low-code solution for helping to build Drupal sites and applications, really with less technical skill than ever before has been required. And on the right is our Marketing Cloud, which helps customers understand, personalize, and engage with their customers across all channels. We've added some great new products to this cloud in the past year with the acquisition of Modic, a marketing automation platform, and the addition of Agile One in December, a customer data platform that helps organizations centralize and really understand who their customers are as they build out great customer experiences. And as I prepare to pass it over to Anton and John, the context here is there's a big gap between what customers expect and what organizations are delivering for customer experience. And the idea of operationalizing a unified customer experience is a top priority for most organizations today. And we're going to hear a lot more about that and the challenge of how do you break down the organizational barriers that stand in the way of delivering superior customer experiences. Our guests from Appnovation are here to provide expert insight into how to do just that. So I'll pass it over to Anton and to John.
Thanks, David. And I'll take a quick moment to introduce Appnovation. For the users who don't know Appnovation, we're a global full-service digital consultancy agency. We currently have 17 offices across America, Europe, and Hong Kong as our Asian office. We have around 300 employees globally, but our main hub is in the Americas at the moment. Our relationship with as a partner with Acquia last started about 10 years ago, and we're currently a preferred partner. At the moment, I'm based in Montreal and John is actually in Toronto. The two of us were planning to be in the same office, but there is a massive snowstorm outside, so we didn't take the risk of traveling and being trapped for the weekend. So there's many different ways that we can articulate what a customer experience is. And we want to go beyond being customer centric, and how it comes to life varies greatly. We talk a lot about omni-channel, offline and online synchronization, different touch points for different users. How do we map that in a modern, true customer journey? And how do we measure the success of this? These are all the types of questions that we speak to our clients on a daily basis. So we're going to go over all of this and show you how we define and understand customer experience at an operational level, and some of the ways that we help our clients with this. But what I want to do is start with a quick poll just to get an idea of who we have in the room. So you should have a poll in front of you, and the question is, what is your role in the customer experience, in your customer experience ecosystem? Do you contribute to that role? Are you a stakeholder? Are you an owner? Or you're accountable? If you want to fill in that poll now, that would be great. So it looks like we have a mixed group with us, which is good. And we kind of ask this question because the topic that we're talking about can go in many different ways. So we can use that to tailor this towards what you're looking to hear. So I think it's probably safe to assume that everyone here has a point of view on what customer experience is. As consumers, everyone's probably experienced a good one and also some bad ones. So let's just start with defining what UX means today and how that has changed over the last few years. This definition here, CX is designed for the entire journey, not a single interaction, is a good starting point. So what has changed? If we look over the last 5 years, user experience was the main talking point, or the main way that we focused on our customers' experience. And we can have exceptional single experiences within our website or app, but as we live in a multi-device, multi-channel, always-on consumer lifestyle, just having these single experiences isn't enough. We need to design a consistent, unified experience, regardless of where it starts, continues, or ends, whether it's in our own channels or different channels, whether it is online digital experience or an offline face-to-face or a call center. The problem we face is there's no single journey or funnel like the old days. It's far more complicated, which is good because it makes our jobs far more fun. So another question for you, just as we pause. How many of you at the moment rate your overall customer experience? You should again have this poll in front of you. Is it inadequate? Is it fair? Is it a good experience? Is it a superior experience? Or is it exemplary? And as you answer that question, I'll pass it over to John to dig a little bit deeper into that question.
Thanks, Anton. So as we see the results coming back, it's quite interesting that, you guys, I would say, in terms of what I see in the results right now, are probably a little bit more pragmatic or realistic about what your experiences are, in probably close to your day-to-day. But we looked at some research done by, some of the bigger research firms like Forrester and such. And, many of you have probably seen these numbers in the past. This has been around for a while, but, in terms of what Forrester found, that probably about 72%, they said, of leaders believe that they're actually providing a superior customer experience. So they think they're doing pretty well. But as they went into the study further, it comes out that that really only 1 in 10 customers really agree with that. This data actually goes back to 2005, to a Bain study that was done. So these numbers really haven't changed all that much. And that's quite a big gap, and sustained gap over the years. And we've seen this number reflected in continuously over time since 2005, as we looked at HBR, McKinsey, Forrester, Gartner, Accenture, PwC. A number of folks have referred to the same number. Hopefully they've done their own research as well, but this number seems to be consistent out there. What's even worse in these studies is that there was a group in this study called the languishers, and they're the top 10 and these languishers, they're the top 10%, and they've plateaued at this number for the past 2 years. Clearly, a lot of people are trying to figure this out, but let's look at what is the impact of this gap and this disparity, and see if we can quantify it. So let's look at some of the data behind this. Each percentage point in improving customer experience in the customer experience index accounts to about $65 million in revenue to the travel industry. And in big box retailers, that's about $244 million on average, which means that about a 2% increase in revenue per customer. Another interesting stat, 86% of buyers are willing to pay more for a greater customer experience. Customer experience leaders outperform laggards by nearly 80%. Brands with superior customer experience bring in nearly 6 times more revenue than the laggards. Customer-centric companies are 60% more profitable. And one of my favorite ones is a 2% increase in customer retention is the same to profits as cutting costs by 10%. So by its very nature, customer experience leaves many of these businesses lacking the understanding of what customer centricity actually means. So what the brands think customers want versus what they actually want, how brands perceive the value of customer experiences they enable, and how customers perceive that value. So clearly expectations have changed and will continue to change. So we're not evolving, with these expectations. Many of you guys know Chief Martech himself, Scott Brinker, and Mark Ryan from Forrester. When we were at Engage in the fall, they basically said planning for change is central to agility. So most companies are still catching up with customer experience leaders of the last decade or 2 decades. Many of these guys overcame their challenges by throwing money and resources at their constraints. So you're not getting enough love, you buy some more ads. There's new challengers, well, build some more features or just buy them. So build more, build faster, build cheaper, integrate. But is anyone really stopping to ask and figure out what customers really want or really need? So it also means that you have to be responsive to customer trends and demands. Taking a chance, failing gracefully, iterating effectively, listening and gathering customer feedback, data and context as primary inputs into your future products and services. So we need to reframe what it means to be agile and risk-taking. So agile is not just about speed, command, and control, but it's about the maturity and decision control, a balance of governance and empowerment, enabling the capabilities to go to market rapidly, consistently at a scale. And risk is the uncertainty in an outcome. Taking risk includes potential for great success. So we acknowledge that the expectations have changed, but we continue to be challenged by the increasing complexity of the experiences, building customer centricity into our culture and our leadership, and defining customer experience value and the tools, data, and metrics to do so. We're also trying hard to kind of bridge the divides in our organizations, organizational silos, system and data integrations, data quality, budgets, culture, skills, and in a lot of cases, incentives. Very important. You can have 2 divisions in the same company, both competing for the same customer, separate P&Ls, completely siloed. Nobody can really succeed on their own, obviously. So it takes a village of dedicated people and diverse people who are focused on the why and not just the how, or not just the what. So obviously, fast is the new normal, faster to iterate, faster to develop, communicate, fail gracefully, delivering actionable insights, making decisions, and I'd argue that it's constant change is the new normal. So let's think about your business. All of these touch points and all of these journeys, you spend a fortune. What does success look like? What do customers really want? This isn't solved by just any single person, department, or policy. Give you an example, like why is it after 30 years of being a credit card customer, when I get to the point of sale today, it still asks me what my language preference is? I just don't understand what's going on there. Well, can be addressed. So who's doing it well? It's not just the unicorns and the tech darlings that are doing it well, like the ones you've seen before, but it's also the brick and mortars and the legacy brands who are stepping in across industries, and they're leaning in and getting it done. So we talked about the new world, the cost and challenges associated with it. We looked at what is new, what the new world looks like, and how we need to think about it. So how do we turn this into something that you can relate to in your business? And consider the elements that make up service design. And many of you have probably seen this before. There are 5 pillars to this: purpose, people, process, products, and platforms. So the purpose is, why are we doing this? A vision and a culture. People, who will do this? The motivated villagers, as we say. Process, how we do this. Is it flat? Is it an agile organization? The products and services, obviously what we're delivering, and the platform, which are the things that enable the organization. 3 of these, particularly purpose, people, and process, are probably quite unique to your organizations, and are most likely the most challenging for your organizations to change due to the silos and legacy practices and the incentives I mentioned earlier. So of course, all companies have customers, and all of these aspects have a significant role in the customer experience. The purpose, people, and processes are some of the things that we'll talk about, but between the customer and the organization is what we'll call the line of visibility, something that everyone here can relate to. Customers are above the line, organizations are below the line, so this is a familiar metaphor. A good way to think about this is front stage and backstage, or if you're familiar with Downton Abbey, upstairs and downstairs. A few of you will know that this service model. It's a great exercise for your organization to map your customer journeys and then add the below the line layer to see who in the organization delivers what. This is something we'll call a blueprint diagram, and can highlight the gaps and the opportunities in your organization. So when we talk about speed, agility, and delivering a unified customer experience, there's one thing that helps across the below the line elements and the customer above, and that's a design system where we highlight the customer experience. Is it really a system? Is it an architecture? Is it a set of tools or artifacts? Or is it more of an abstraction, a blueprint, or an operating model? I'm going to hand it back over to Anton, who will dig into this and explain it to us. And we'll walk through it from our perspective, and I'll hand it over to Anton.
Thank you, John. That was a great overview. So I think we're safe to say for the last 5 years, design topics have been a really hot topic. But I still have a day-to-day conversation with people that are not, that feel that it's still a grey area for them. One way that I help people understand them better is by looking back at the software revolution around about the 1960s and 70s. Back then, computers became faster and cheaper, but software development remained slow and difficult to maintain and prone to errors. And it was the software developers that were really holding things back. But this changed around about the early 1970s when software engineers started using component-based development. This component-based development provided a way to increase the speed and enable reusable code, making it more efficient and easier to scale. All of the things that we take for granted within a modern software development environment. Now, I feel like 60 years later, design is experiencing a similar change. We're struggling to scale it with the required iterations and agility to meet the complex, ever-changing customer experiences. Sometimes the design is still done up front and bespoke snowflakes for each interface differ between designers and agencies that work on them in different lines of businesses. All of these things lead to breaking what our goal is of designing a consistent experience regardless of where it starts, continues and ends. To clearly explain what a design system is, let's just quickly talk about what it's not. It's not just a digital style guide or a digitized brand guidelines. And I include this slide because a lot of people tell me, yeah, we've got a design system, we don't need one. It's our brand guidelines, or it's a generated style guide from our website. But the reality is, for a true design system, this is not the case. So going back to what John explained with the organizational model, let's look at how a design system interacts with each of these, and then finally for the consumer. Really, a design system is more than the sum of its parts. So let's go, so it's not all things to all people, but it's something for each of the parts. So let's start with the purpose. So as John said, the purpose is your North Star. It's why we're doing what we're doing. It's important to have this as part of your design system. Having this for everyone to see clearly and helps unify teams and objectives around where we're going. Momentum is far easier to build once everyone knows where they're going and why. And as a North Star, we always, as well as your North Star, we always advise adding design principles, user personas, research, and customer journeys as part of the design system. We find a lot of the time there's great work and research that gets lost in a drawer or never spoke about after the final delivery. Let's get everything in the design system to use and align teams in their day-to-day workflow and as they're moving forward. For the people, and obviously this is possibly one of the most, sorry, I was just getting a message there. For the people, this is possibly one of the most important parts for the design system. For teams, the design system obviously helps produce a more consistent experience, but also builds bridges between teams and developers and product owners. With this, we can easily have one team working on a product marketing campaign or landing pages and another working on a checkout. It's safe to know that the UI and the experience will be the same for each user. This can even go further of a single UI system across multiple technologies like web and native applications. Instagram used to really annoy me as it used different icons for the website and the mobile app, and my kind of old designer OCD just could not handle that. We also believe it can transcend the walls of single company and exist as shared standards and customized tooling to give to regional offices or their own agencies. This obviously accelerates the development and eliminates the need to start from scratch. Again, removing the snowflake designs or the snowflake websites or microsites that we see out there. For the product, I mean, it's obviously to say with efficiency and clarity and vision comes improvements of quality. And if we go back to our promise to the consumer, a unified experience, then they are going to achieve this with a better shared design system. Processes, we could probably spend another 4 webinars diving into the benefits of a design system for process, but I'll use a quote from the lead designers at Airbnb. This is a simple truth. You can't innovate on products without first innovating on the way you build them. I really feel as though this encapsulates the benefits to the processes that we deal with each and every day with a design system. So lastly, let's talk about the platforms. And again, this is a topic that we could discuss for another 4 webinars. When we work with organizations, the design system needs to meet their needs. Some are to create the same functionality and visual language across different platforms and channels, but some are there to share UI components against different multiple websites and varying brand initiatives. We help a lot of clients migrate lots of websites onto the one platform into a single design system, each having their own visual language to give them their own brand, but ultimately making the scalability of these websites much easier. All are valid for each of the organizations, and it's kind of funny because we talk about trying to break this cycle of snowflake designs and microsites and different experiences cropping up, but a real world design system actually has to be unique for that organization. And it's called a system because it needs to be looked at as a long-term project and a moving target itself. So if all of this is the way as a design system touches our operating model, how does it affect our customer? Well, it's really simple. It becomes a lens by which our customers see us and see and experience our brands. I always say that for any organization, their website is a view into how they operate. I'd welcome you to look at any of the Canadian banks, of the big 5 Canadian banks. And on the top level navigation, you'll see multiple different experiences on each of the lines of businesses and landing pages. It's different naming conventions, different icons, different search bars, different buttons, different colors at times. And sometimes the bigger the organization, the bigger the differences and the bigger the problems that they occur. So where does a design system fit? If we look at what we've just gone through, and John's explaining the operational model of any company, the line of visibility and the customer above that, we are seeing more and more that the design system lies above or over that line of visibility. It can benefit all of the things that we've mentioned with regards to the operating model, and obviously it becomes that lens towards what the customer sees, your organization, and experiences your brand. Again, I get a big topic that we've kind of covered very quickly, but I'd welcome any of you to reach out and talk to us and over email. We could probably go on and talk about this for a longer, and I would welcome that I'll hand it back over to Bridget, and we can get into some question and answers and learn a bit more about how users see using design systems and understand your operating model.
Yes, thank you so much, Anton, John, and David. We have a couple questions coming in, but if you do have any, if the audience has any questions, please submit them in the Q&A tab. All right, first question, and this is for any one of you to answer. In your experience, what are the most common reasons design systems fail?
So I can take that one on because in the last 12 months, we've probably been brought in to help fix a lot of design systems. I think, and I'm probably going to contradict myself a little bit here. It's a design system is many things to many people, but it's not all things to all people. And I think that's where we see the failure. Technical teams always get frustrated that it's not an integration or a seamless integration with all of their platforms and all of their technologies that they're using, and marketing teams or design teams feel as though that they're holding them back. So that understanding that a design system is getting you further down the line, but it's not getting you to the end, is where we have to communicate that over. The other big thing that I think design systems fail with are not having a proper governance model around them. So like any project or any website or any application, you really need to have a governance model around that, and that goes the same with a design system. This just puts into question, if there isn't certain things there, what are the processes to go through before you actually go out and just build that snowflake design or add to it? because this is a maintainable, scalable system, so it has to be managed in the same way as any software platform.
And if I could just add to that, from my experience, having worked in this industry and big agencies, working for some big brands, kind of go back to what I said earlier in terms of the incentives. You can be working for an organization that has multiple brands, and one of the brands can take on something 10 times over what the other divisions can do, combined. And they're not incentivized to be able to work together and to do things together. So it can fall apart pretty quickly when that incentive model isn't there.
Awesome. All right, next question. If a company doesn't have a design system in place, how long does it take to design and implement, and what stakeholders are involved in this process?
Sorry, Bridget.
Can we take that one, Anton?
Yeah, I just missed the end of the question, sorry. But
Oh, no, it's okay. I can repeat it. If a company doesn't have a design system in place, how long does it take to design or implement, and what stakeholders are involved in that process?
So I think it's a great question, and my answer is it's an ongoing project, so it never ends. It's something that is a living system. It should be planned out like a normal project would be done, but with a lot of room to pivot. There was a great article written by Spotify just a month ago where they held their hands up and said, hey, we were using a design system that we designed and thought was perfect for our organization, but we realized that it wasn't meeting the needs of our teams, of our processes, and it was actually becoming more of a hindrance to the process. So they completely pivoted and changed the whole way that they were dealing with the design system. With regards to stakeholders, I think, one kind of offshoot that we're also seeing where we're going into organizations and helping people understand design system is a kind of change management policy. So everyone from the business and the design team and the developers come together through that shared design system. And if there's new initiatives or new brand updates and everything, that can be the center point where that change management can start and people can feel as though they're part of it. So with regards again to the stakeholders, each and everyone that's ever going to touch it, no one owns the design system, it's part of the organization. Business, development team, design team, obviously product owners, they all look at the design system really as their kind of central source of truth for what the brand and the experience should be.
And there's a good reason why this is difficult, obviously, and as with any kind of enterprise initiative that's going to span multiple parts of the organization, you can say that, every one of these things is a C-level, item priority, but, at the end of the day, it's still, the organization that has to bring this to life and operate it. So I think Anton's 100% right, to say that you can't really have one owner. It ultimately rolls up to the C-suite, but in terms of the day-to-day, there are a lot of hands in this to kind of make this happen, and you have to find ways to shepherd this process to ensure that all of the parts of your service design system are all firing at the same time.
All right, thank you. We're gonna do one more question. So thanks for sharing some examples of brands that do this well. I know you already covered some, but is there another good story around design systems in the real world?
I think there's no better brand doing it than Airbnb. If you go to Airbnb.design, they really publicize what they're doing, their lessons learned through their journey with their design system, and they're kind of pushing it and taking it to the next level. this, you know, like they obviously transcend a lot of different technologies, app, mobile, but you know, if you use Airbnb, you'll see it's ever changing. So they bring really that data element into it and focus on improving the customer journey step by step. So I really recommend going to Airbnb.design and reading some of the stuff that they're doing. They were one of the first companies that were really pushing it 5-6 years ago. Salesforce was also one of the companies that's kind of started out with it. There was a woman there who I can't remember her name, unfortunately, but she started with the Salesforce Lightning design system, which was an interesting concept as well. Yeah, some of the bigger product brands really do a good job on it, and a lot of them make it public to everybody so they can see how other companies are doing it and learn from them. I will caveat that, but it has to be unique to your own organization.
Okay, great. And we do have time for one other question. Can a corporate or global design system work for companies that are regionally branded?
So I'll chime in on this one. I definitely believe that this can be the case, whether it's, you know, your organization is you know, regionally divided, or if you're working, you know, with a holding company that has multiple brands underneath it. Say, for example, an auto manufacturer that has, you know, multiple brands underneath it, and each one is regionalized. It's definitely possible. I've personally worked on several of these kind of global initiatives where you have to build and operationalize a system like this. And I'm not referring to the technical side, but really the design system, as Anton's been referring to, and how you develop this in such a way that, you know, the brand and the regional nuances are captured and accounted for, but essentially still enabled by this design system. Anton, anything you want to add on that one?
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly right. It's about, you know, having that global brand visual language that goes through your brand, but like handing it off to regional offices that they can have their own take on it, because ultimately they have a different customer across the world.
Okay, and sorry,
Okay.
there's one more that came in. And are there any examples of government agencies that are doing this well? This was the previous question that was asked. Do you guys have any examples of government or agencies?
I think for any government, gov.uk, and I'm not saying that because I'm actually from the UK, they set the bar pretty high a few years ago, and have been the subject of many case studies around the way that they changed the digital landscape of the UK government. Again, everything is public there. They have a lot on the governance around how government websites should be built out, and even down to the accessibility guidelines and the use of any of the visual language. I would say for the most part, gov.uk is somewhere to look at.
And I would add, you know, NYCgov. You know, I was exposed to this one almost 10 years ago, I think it was. Probably one of the most challenging experiences that I've ever come across. You know, they're the yellow pages. They're the end all be all of all kind of government services for the city of New York, and it's extremely complicated. It's extremely challenging, and it's such a diverse audience, but they do an amazing job.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you all again for attending our webinar today. And thank you, Anton, John, and David for speaking. As I said previously, the slides and the recording of this webinar will be posted to acquia.com and also sent to you via email within the next few days. And if you have any additional questions, please send them to either Anton or John. Their emails are up on the slide now, or specific questions for Acquia, please send them to marketing@theacquiateam.com. Thank you so much and have a great day.